Sup nerdos, for today's assignment, love is definitely in the air. Unless you're Gaus the Incense burner, who is definitely lonely, and because I can nearly be the only lovable one in this house, it's time you got a girlfriend. It's love time.
Yeah.
Gaus's future wifey is gonna need a base, and instead of the standard wood, I wanted to take precautions and make my own that's a tad more flame resistant. I used armature wire to measure out a larger circle, tie it with floral wire, and then spend a few moments adding copious amounts of foil to form her timeshare. Her base is going to be covered in a payday's worth of ultralight, so for it to stick better, I'm going to drizzle oven-baked clay adhesive all along the sides and inside, and once it's smeared, it will also be covered with ultralight. Ultralight has the benefit of remaining lightweight once cured, as well as durable, which is much needed for today's endeavor. Once my ultralight is set, in the middle I'm going to place a ball of ultralight covered foil, then poke a hole in it for Incense 6 in the future. This week's project won't be having any clay added to it, but I still will add some details using my custom-made sculpting tools. The core is going to also need to be very hollow for the incense to go through, so I use one of my tools as a reference, wrap it with floral wire, wrap that in a really small roll of aluminum foil, then go Reservoir Dog circa 1992 on the tip, and move forward to making some eyes.
Hi.
As her eyes continue to dry and her basic core now cool down after baking, I can move forward with adding to her frame. A quick test of the core shows it passed with flying colors, so now I can move forward to adding more foil. And I snip off 2 strands of aluminum wire for future leaf strands of her hair. It's also at this moment a life crisis started. See, this week I made 2 separate sculptures, and I wasn't sure which one would be the better one for this week's video. I decided on the latter obviously, but there are questions and little regret. Now convinced by my therapist to continue on, I applied bake adhesive to the top of her head and then mashed in ultralight onto her face. For this week's project, there had to be 2 pre-bakes. The first one was to ensure proper functionality of the core for burning and ensure it's solid and won't get mashed. The outer frame is what's going to cause Gaus to slide into her DMs. Once the ultralight is applied, Gaus's future life, who I'm calling Ludie, gets her unique peepers pushed in, and then as I continue to push in the detail and align everything, I start to wonder what I'm doing, and I start to feel the stares.
We'll figure it out.
With her fully baked and cooled, we can start the process of beautifying her today with Super Sculpey Original for her body, and for her leaf hair making its debut, Super Sculpey in Gray. I bend out the final shape of her leaves, and then wrap them in foil. Once I'm satisfied with their positioning and then further thickness, we can move forward with applying Sculpey Gray to each strand. The reason I'm using gray on the leaves is for the sake of it being in the detail, and even though gray is the same blend as original, I have found it to be somewhat sturdier than original, which is what I need for Ludie's day job to be fully comparable. With all the leaves covered and detailed, I use some small ball stylus tool to poke in holes on the edge of each leaf, which I'll be filling with pre-baked thorns made out of cosplay medium firm. For those keeping track from a few videos ago, yes, these are the same thorns I made for Sperry and also the mask last week, and thankfully have been finding a way to use them each week, and I'm hoping to continue the trend for future projects. Let's see how far we can stretch this. Matter of fact, if you have any ideas what I can use the thorns for, leave some suggestions in the comments. Let's try to make this work. All her leaves are now thorned up, So I finished them off by adding some more detail, and in between her two larger leaves, a webbing of sort of cosplay medium fern. Then I'll detail and blend everything in with an array of ball styluses. With her leaves now Instagram ready, we can now move on to her ample frame and spin on Super Sculpting Original, which didn't work at all. So now we can take sheets of clay and then add them all over her body, starting with her dainty vine limbs and progressing towards her face and then her extremities. There's not much for me to verbally add here, but I do want to take a few moments and ramble and hopefully provide some encouragement just so there isn't a lot of silence. I know for a lot of those interested in getting started with sculpting or even just art in general, you can feel somewhat defeated before your journey even starts. Unsure of what materials to use, the costs associated with them, and then further if you believe it would be a waste of time or if you would actually be good at it. As someone who habitually deals with imposter syndrome weekly, please allow me to provide you all some encouragement if I can. If you see the brick of clay in the store and you believe you can make something with it, buy it. If you see a blank canvas at your store and you want to put an image on it to live forever on, please take it home. Start your journeys. You don't have to be concerned with the proper tools needed or even the fundamentals. That will all come with time. You can start with a basic set that you can get now at Michael's, Hobby Lobby, even Walmart has these, and I'll make sure to add a link in the description of the kit that I still use to this day. Please allow art to be an extension of your journey and your way of refocusing the path that you're currently on. And please enjoy every step out of it. I've been sculpting for about 5 years now steadily, and I even have days where I struggle with my fulfillment and my execution. I still have fun, and I'm still thankful for this medium. And further, I am thankful for all of you. So if you're ready to start, please start your journey. Believe in yourself. And if you can't, it's okay. I'll believe in you until you're ready. As you can hear, my coffee definitely worked today, and so did my little trick with making the dual noses for her. What it didn't help me with was something I've been struggling with since I started this project, trying to tie into Valentine's theme into what this project could be, and I didn't unfortunately want it to be something cheesy. So of course, I settled for the cheese, and I made her mouth to look like a heart, which if you ask me, it is absolutely adorable. I mean, be honest, is this not the cutest thing you have seen on YouTube today? Once her blender gums in, I apply a large rip of clay to form her future lips, and then I poke holes in her gums for her future fan-like chompers to get pushed in. It was at this moment that I was really feeling confident with myself with how Ludie was coming out, especially with the way the mouth was being detailed. And then I messed it all up and showed a friend a project shot, and within seconds of her seeing it, she made sure to tell me in her little way, "Hey, it's really cool that you're just doing YouTube for fun, you know, you're never gonna get monetized, that's awesome, bro." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She said, "Well, you're never gonna get monetized on YouTube because the mouth literally looks like something else that you're not supposed to have." Her words, not mine. So then paranoia set in, my other sculpt would have stopped staring at me, I was running out of strawberry cream Dr. Pepper, my dog literally farted at me and landed, and as I was spiraling away, she just said, "Bro, just put a chin on it." So as you can see, she now has the cutest chin you've ever seen on YouTube, and now I am fully re-encouraged, and just like Cody Rhodes, we're gonna finish this story, or sculpt, and then we're moving on to make her base, and for this week, we are using one of my absolute favorite things to use, not just in sculpting, but in life. The base is a perfect blend of plaster Paris, the last bit of Mod Podge I have I guess, a few dabs of flame red acrylic ink, ruby red ink powder, and lastly a shitload of glitter. After all are combined, we have this incredibly adorable pink amalgamation that once blended, we're going to drizzle it all into her base. For the plaster, I do have to be cautious and ensure there's enough room for Ludie to sit proportionally so the incense stick does not go against her sides and just go straight up and down. So once I drizzle this on the edges for effect, I do have to dig out a channel out so while she's working to have my home smell great, she is sitting flat and not at an angle which could cause the incense stick to burn out. Before the plaster fully hardens, I decided I wanted to add some flair, and today's flair comes from the heart. Specifically these hardened ruby beans that I got from Michael's. So I start spreading the love all across the most shallow region where Ludie won't be covering, and then once I have enough heart pieces pushed into the plaster, I go over these with some ruby pieces to follow, and I push these in by hand. I won't have to worry about gluing these in specifically. Once the plaster hardens, it's going to lock everything in place for me. Once I do have this to my liking though and I'm comfortable, it's time to move on to painting. I did start with a very light pink, but decided it wasn't a rich enough color, so then I go towards a more Barbie-like pink across her entire base. With the base painted and then it's fully dry now, it's time to move on to Ludie's color combo. Ludie's paint job starts with her leaves painted black, which will help future detailing out. Once her leaves are fully covered, I do start with her body. Again, I started with a light pink, which was almost white, before going towards a darker pink, before settling on a cranberry red base color that went across her entire body. I then blackened out her mouth with, well, black, and then before I painted the mouth, I actually went over her leaves with the same red color that would add an initial highlight color as well. And then I moved back to her body with an array of pink shades to bring the detailing back on her surface. And then lastly, as you'll see, I'm going to paint her lower edges, limbs, and vines with a black for some shading purposes. Everything in me wanted to paint her lips red for Valentine's Day, but empathically, Ludie told me she didn't want to look like a basic bitch on YouTube, and she demanded her lips match the color of her soul. So I used the same soul colored pigment to re-edge her bottom, go back across her leaves, and also her limb spikes. Shockingly though, I didn't do this on her eyes, but I'm actually glad I didn't because I think they came out great. We are fastly approaching Gaus's blind date, and he is super excited. I take a few dabs of airbrush cleaner on my fingers, then later a brush to clean off the paint from her eyes and other glass regions. I then prove I indeed cannot draw to save my life by putting on some small tattoos, quote unquote, of a small XO, hearts, and what should be an arrow. I also dab in between some small white dots across the leaves for variance, and then I add the final 2 hearts onto her lower region. Then after all of these are dried and all her flares in place, I believe Ludie has truly earned the right to enter the Never place, and it's indeed time for her to light it up and also shine. Believe it or not, Gaus has already slid into Ludie's DMs, and I hope in a way Ludie has also slid into your hearts. If you did like today's video, I hope you do like the video, subscribe to the channel, and then set the bell notifications for all future updates. I really cannot tell you how many words, how much this project took a lot out of me this week, so if you're here this late in the video, believe me, I truly appreciate it. I do hope that you all have a wonderful Valentine's Day. If you do have a loved one, make sure they feel cherished. If you're single like me, hey, discount candy's right around the corner. Until then, I'll see you guys next week. I do have another project on deck, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Have a good weekend, folks. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.